Good morning, it's Harvey Jackson. Just going to go through a few slides here. The StatsCan report is coming out tomorrow. I don't think there's any report that I see that is going to give us the best guess, but I think reputable people talking about it will probably have some guesses that they're going to do some adjustments, and I think that's pretty well known. I also found an article from Rabobank, and they're talking about the China dependence on North America food. So let's just get into this. So Mitch Miller put out this article, and I pulled some of the same data, and maybe I'll share a little bit more of the data tomorrow. But you can see the absolute dominance of this so far, January through March of canola seed exports to China. And what is surprising to me is the lack of European purchases as well. So. And I might dive into some more data there as well to see if there is any more movement, but maybe for another time. So Mitch Miller just highlighted some areas on the chart or on his article, about the release of the March data and with the tariffs and how the Chinese had stepped in and bought a fair bit. Now, I just like his commentary on just where are they going to adjust the numbers, because everybody's got different numbers. You've got the Agri-Food Canada with a different number. They moved that up. Even the USDA changed their numbers last month as well. So there's just a whole pile of different numbers. And like I've been saying, they're probably going to have to do something with this, move last year's up so that they can explain why we're going to end up with no carry out, because this is already wrong. This is maybe a hair bit too high on pace, like maybe it's 11 and a quarter, slowing down for the next 3 months, but it pretty well has to. So there's a lot of questions, and I just put down the same acreage as last year with average yield kind of thing, and it doesn't matter how we do this, it's going to be too tight. So here's the Rabobank article, and it just goes to show where soybeans and corn and all of these other goods are sitting, and it's not in a great percentage. You get soybeans, they're dependents, but the blue is the U.S. share. It doesn't own a big part of the U.S. share of the business that goes to China. And here they're just talking about the policies that they're going to put into place and what they're paying attention to for each one. And oilseeds crushing is still dominant in China, but they will end up crushing and buying, and that's including canola here too. So they just said here that they expect to redirect vegetable seed imports from U.S. to Europe and Japan, and the other part that these exemptions with the tariffs have already come on, and they've put exemptions on some of the key products that they need, because most of the product for ag use is actually coming from China. Not a surprise. Here's just the active weather that we see. So there's, more and more, I'm going to be paying more attention to the U.S. Weather here. So the next 7-day anomaly here, or precipitation, is lacking in this area and getting too wet probably in these areas here. And the 8 to 14 days is actually showing a lot more precipitation up here, and I'm going to say most of the Western Canadian farmers are probably looking forward to a little bit of moisture. Of course, this doesn't pinpoint how much moisture or where it's going to hit either. So this map actually says the same thing. It's just it looks like it's lingering for the next 10 to 14 days. Here's your temperature, and you can see that there is a warming, but you can see that there's little pockets that could be cool in there as well. Here's your precipitation for the Europe, and if we were going to pay attention to a certain area, it's right in here and here, and it's it seems to have enough there. And here's your temperature, and it does appear to be cold over here. Now, is it going to have any effect is the question. Here's just a little snip that I've taken.
Have a great friendship. We don't agree on everything. In fact, I think we supported different people in the last federal election. And so we don't have to agree on everything. But what I will say is we have a constructive conversation at the COF table.
Just talking about
I continue to in our
Doug
respective
Ford's
jurisdictions.
poking
I
his
don't tell
nose
him
in
how he should run his province, and I would hope that he doesn't tell me how I should run mine. But we have a very respectful relationship, and I hope that continues. As most
listening to him,
Albertans know,
which
I
is
have
good.
repeatedly stated I do not
And
support
cheese
Alberta
stands
separating
for
from
the
Canada.
Canadian
Prime Minister,
not
and that's what I put on the
separating
table.
and
But that
working
is up
with
to citizens
the
to decide
federal
and to
government.
get the number of signatures.
The
All
other
I've said
thing
is
I
I will
note here is
honor
that
the process.
she
And I
talks
think
about
if
as
an
well
election were
is
held today, it would
if
get
there
about
was a
30%
election,
support.
there's only 30%.
So that's why I want to make sure that those numbers do not get higher.
And let's just get into the markets here. Canola is up pretty strong. So the guys that got into the trade yesterday on the long canola, and I'm not certain how long it's going to, what kind of length we're going to get, but that pullback was a good opportunity to get in. That's for sure. So canola is up like $9 on the front month, and European rapeseed only up 2.5. I didn't really show anything on my the going forward slides on the rapeseed, but soybean oil is up a half a penny. Everything is pretty well green on the screen except for soy meal, and the Canadian dollar is a little bit down, and some of the live cattle is just slightly down as well. So here's canola, and you can see that there's been some. It's still good support here, and of course it broke through those previous highs. So now it's time to reown and see if we can get some length on the squeeze. Now the question will be is if the StatsCan can give us any support there. You can see this is the spread, so that's the difference between July and November, and we're sitting around that $40. So November is lower by $40. Here's your soybean oil, nice green on the screen here. I'd like to see this actually keep moving up, and that would support the canola, but it could be the other way around right now. Canola could be dragging this one up, so it might have a little bit of a lag effect. Soybean futures, back at it here. Here's a article that I found on X from Darren Fester, and you can see on here that the black is your current futures, and it's following 2015, and he says it right in here that he's looking at the correlation of prices, and he said over the last 5 years it's being long on 4th of June to June 10th. It has been the best correlation or to be long over 85% of the time over 25 years, and being long the May 25th and exiting June 11th. So this kind of an area right here, wrong color, this area right here is being long. So, just shifting some of your timelines on there. Here's your crude oil futures. It looks like it's we've got a couple of days of green. So for the clients that still need to buy a little bit of fuel or diesel, I would be maybe looking or exploring to see what the price is to maybe cover a little bit more for the spring summer needs at these values. Just looks like there might be a little bit of a reversal there. Canadian dollar, is it going to break through that value? I guess yesterday's meeting with Carney and Trump, it sounds like it might have been somewhat positive, but I think the press that we get in Canada is definitely biased to only hear what they want to hear here anyway. Wheat still making lower lows. We're going into this sideways to downward channel here. I think everybody knows that. That's spring wheat. Here's your Chicago wheat. Same kind of a trend in here as well. Milling wheat looks like it's trying to make brand new lows here into the spring. And your corn futures, a little bit of a recovery, but it's still in this downward channel here as of yet as well. And tomorrow the StatsCan report.